Wong, matrix number 189602, the chairperson for today's discussion on the topic spectrophotometry. Before we begin, let's get to know all the speakers today by having them introduce themselves. Let's begin from my right hand side.
Hello, my name is Nara Yasmin. I am the first speaker, matrix number 189827.
Hello everyone, my name is Sangari Gurubanan, matrix number 187895. I am the second speaker.
Hello, my name is Amirullah Abdurrasif. I am the third speaker and my matrix number is 190414.
Hello, my name is Shuhada Najla Abdul Kifli. My matrix number is 188569 and I'm the fourth speaker.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Irfan bin Nazri. Matrix number is 189850. I'm the fifth speaker.
Hello, my name is No Atira. My matrix number is 18809. I'm the sixth speaker.
Hi, my name is Shazana binti Luqman, matrix number 190353. I am the seventh speaker.
Hello, my name is Malik bin Akbar Khan. My matrix number is 189637 and I'll be the eighth speaker.
Okay, hello, I'm Tashaini Murgasu. My matrix number is 188572. I am the ninth speaker.
Thank you to all speakers. I'd like to remind fellow speakers of today's discussion that we only have a maximum of 30 minutes discussion. So without further wasting the time, let's begin the discussion with basic understanding on spectrophotometry by our first speaker, Ms. Nadra.
Thank you, Cindy, for the warm welcome. As mentioned, I'm going to give a brief explanation on what spectrophotometry is. Do you guys know what spectrophotometry is? Well, basically, spectrophotometry is a method to measure how much a chemical substance absorbs light by measuring the intensity of light passes through a sample solution. The basic principle is that the intensity of color is measured the amount of a material in solution, and every substance absorbs and transmits light over a certain wavelength. For example, chlorophyll. Chlorophyll always absorbs red and violet light while it transmits only yellow, green and blue wavelengths. The light energy absorbed or transmitted must match exactly the energy required to cause an electronic transition in the substance. This measurement can also be used to measure the amount of known chemical substance. Spectrophotometry is one of the most useful methods of quantitative analysis in various fields such as chemistry, biochemistry, physics, material and chemical engineering, and also clinical application. In biochemistry, for example, it is used to determine enzyme catalyzed reaction. In clinical application, it is used to examine blood and tissues for clinical diagnosis. For your information, it is even used in the veterinary field to check for diseases in the animal body system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nadra, for giving us a brief definition and the principle of spectrophotometer. Since we already know what spectrophotometry is, let's look into deeper understanding of what is inside a spectrophotometer. So let's call upon speaker 2 and 3 to tell us more about it.
Thank you, Cindy. Generally, a spectrophotometer consists of light source, lens, monochromator, wavelength selector, cuvette, photoelectric detector, and a digital display. The two major components of the spectrophotometer lies in the name itself, which is the spectrometer and the photometer. The spectrometer basically produces and disperses light, whereas the photometer measures the intensity of the light. The light source produces a beam of light that strikes the monochromator. The most common light source that is used are halogen lamps, which are used for visible and near-infrared regions. Besides that, deuterium lamps are used for UV regions. Sometimes even xenon lamps are used as well. Once the beam of light strikes the monochromator disperses the light into its components. A monochromator is a device used to disperse the light. The most common monochromator used is the diffraction grating. Once the light is split into its component wavelengths, a wavelength selector transmits the desired wavelength through the exit slit.
Thank you, Sandari. Now I will proceed to the next component. The light that disperses from monochromator will produce wavelengths that consist of rainbow color. It will hit the wavelength selector, and wavelength selector is the third component of spectrophotometer. Wavelength selector is basically an adjustable slit that allows only one specific wavelength of light that can go through it. Then the light that go through it will hit the sample cell or sample container. Sample container is a container that contains cell, and the cell that available is glass and gas cells. And the sample cell is the fourth component of spectrophotometer. And the important thing about this component is we are reminded to be careful when handle it, because a slightly of fingerprint can interfere the results. Then the light from sample container will transmitted from sample to the photoelectric detector, and photoelectric detector is the fifth component of spectrophotometer, and it changes the light into electric signal, and electric signal will display on the output screen, and the digital display is the last component of spectrophotometer. And before I finish, there are two types of spectrophotometer. The first is ultraviolet spectrophotometer, and VIS stand for visible light spectrums. And the ultraviolet spectrophotometer use UV light wavelength from 200 nanometer to 350 nanometer. And the second is VIS that use visible light, which is white light, of wavelengths from 350 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Thank you.
Many thanks to both speakers for the informative discussion. Just now we heard that Ms. Nadra told us about the principle of spectrophotometer, where the molecules absorb light over a certain wavelength. So can the next speaker, Ms. Shuhada and Irfan, tell us more detail how the absorption spectrum of a molecule occurs?
Thank you, Cindy. Now I will explain about the absorption of spectrum of molecule. A molecule that can be excited by absorption is called chromophore. This molecular excitation is usually dissipated as heat by collision of the excited molecule with another molecule as the molecule returns to the ground state. The intensity of light transmitted by a collection of chromophore is less than the intensity of incident ray. An excited molecule can possess any offset discrete amount of energy described by the laws of quantum mechanics. These amounts are called energy levels of molecule. The major energy levels are mostly determined by the possible spatial distribution of electrons and are called electronic energy levels, which arise from the various modes of vibration of molecules.
So I will continue our discussion about the observation of molecule absorption of the spectrum. So as you know, we see the sunlight as a uniform or homogeneous color, which is white light, but it actually is composed of a broad range of radiation wavelength in the ultraviolet, visible and infrared portion of the spectrum. So the component of the color of the visible portion can be separated by passing sunlight to a prism, which add to bend the light in the different degrees according to the wavelength. So electromagnetic radiation, such as visible light, is commonly treated as a wave phenomenon characterized by a wavelength or frequency. So wavelength is defined on the left is defined as the distance between the adjacent peak, while the frequency is the number of the cycle that travel past a fixed point per unit of time. So, when white light passes through or reflected by a color substance, a characteristic portion of the mixed wavelength is absorbed. So, the remaining light will then assume the complementary color of the wavelength absorbed. Thank you.
Thank you, Shuhada and Irfan, for the explanation. So, I'm wondering if spectrophotometer has function in bioassay. Can speakers 6 and 7, Ms. Tira and Shazana, verify this question that pops up in my mind?
Thank you, Cindy. Now, I would like to explain the roles of spectrophotometry in biological assay. UV spectrophotometry is a method for quantitative determinations of erythromycin. UV spectroscopic determination was carried out at absorption maximum of 285 nanometer using methanol as a solvent. Erythromycin is actually produced by Saccharopolyspora. It's a microlide antibiotic, consists of a 40-membrane, a ketone group, 2 glycosidic bond, and a dimethyl amino group. It is actually bacteriostatic at low but bactericidal at high concentration. The drug targets at the ribosome and inhibits the protein synthesis of gram-positive bacteria such as Mycoplasma and Chlamydia. Erythromycin is used for treatment of several infection diseases and in patients allergic to the penicillin. Erythromycin easily degrades in acidic condition, giving inactive compound. To increase its acid stability and bioavailability, erythromycin is available in several forms including acetate, ethyl succinate, and stearate. The proposed method is simple, rapid, precise, and accurate, and can be used for the reliable quantizations of erythromycin in pharmaceutical formulation. Thank you.
Just like what Atira has said just now, the spectrophotometer function is to determine the wavelength of the erythromycin. The simple UV spectrophotometric instrument was used, and the simple UV spectrum of erythromycin in methanol, which is buffer, was obtained, which exhibits absorption maximal at 285 nanometer. The proposed methods were found to be simple, sensitive, rapid, accurate, precise, and economic for the routine analysis of erythromycin in pharmaceutical formulation. The linearity range was found to be 1 to 9 microgram per ml for this method. The LOD value for erythromycin was found to be 0.96 microgram per ml, and LOQ value is 2.92 microgram per ml, respectively indicates the sensitivity of the proposed method. The method was successfully used to determine the amounts of erythromycin present in tablet. The results obtained also are in good agreement with the corresponding level amounts. Hence, the method can be employed for the routine analysis of erythromycin in tablet formulations. Unlike other researchers, which reported the use of advanced techniques such as HPLC, HPTLC, and CE, we describe a simple spectrophotometric method for the determination of erythromycin. The proposed method will not replace the method recommended in USP or BP or other published methods, but it will serve as a rapid, convenient, and inexpensive method. Hence, it can be conveniently adopted for routine quality analysis of the drug in tablet. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 5 and 6. Let's move on to our two final speakers of today's discussion, Ms. Tarshani and Malik, whom will tell us more about the brief history and the real-life application of spectrophotometer.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, from now we know where From now we know how the spectrophotometer is used. We know how it's applied in many uses already, but we still do not know where it comes from. So the history of it is that before this, many designs were already created. They were very early version, but by 1940, several spectrophotometers were already available on the market, but early models could not work with ultraviolet. Arnold O. Beckman developed an improved version at the National Technical Laboratories Company, which later became Beckman Instrument Company, and finally what we know as the Beckman Coulter. Okay? All the electronics were contained within an instrument case, and it had a new hydrogen lamp with ultraviolet continuum and had a better monochromator. This instrument was produced from 1941 until 1976 with essentially the same design. Over 30,000 units were sold, and at that time it was considered quite an expensive machine at the cost of US $723. Nobel Chemistry Laureate Bruce Merrifield said that it was probably the most important instrument ever developed towards the advancement of bioscience. Now that we know where this very useful instrument has come from, we also know that it can be used in many different types of fields. So the use of spectrophotometers spans various scientific fields such as physics, material science, chemistry, biochemistry, and molecular biology. They are widely used in many industries, including semiconductors, lasers, and optical manufacturing, printing and forensic examinations, as well as laboratories for chemical substances. Ultimately, a spectrophotometer is able to determine, depending on the control or calibration, what substances are present in a target and exactly how much calculations of observed wavelengths. And now I'll pass it to the next speaker who will talk about the clinical uses of the spectrophotometer.
Okay, as my co-partner Malik said, a spectrophotometer is evidently used in medical field. One of it is in research on vitamins and hormones. Next is to measure concentration of RNA and DNA samples in molecular biology laboratories, and also as well to measure growth of bacterial culture. Apart from that, spectrophotometer is proved instrumental in melanoma analysis in pathology laboratories as well. Besides, pharmaceutical companies use benchtop spectrophotometers to measure the intensity of color in dosage and to evaluate the effect of different dosages and of ingredients in medication. Last but not least, a spectrophotometer is used to determine the seriousness of heart attack by taking enzyme from blood of patient and comparing it to the standard curve.
Thanks to the final speakers. Before we end this discussion, please allow me to summarize the main points of today's discussion. We have discussed that spectrophotometry is the method to measure how much a chemical substance absorbs light, and also the principle of it is that the compound absorbs light over a certain range of wavelength. We also discussed the structures of spectrophotometer, where it consists of light source, monochromator, wavelength selector, sample container, photoelectric detector, and digital display with their respective functions. And there's two types of spectrophotometer, which is the infrared spectrophotometer and also the ultraviolet, or it is called as the UV spectrophotometer. Besides, we discussed on the absorption spectrum of molecule by a range of colors and the molecular excitation energy. And also, we discussed about the functions in bioassays, where it is used for quantitative determination of antibiotic erythromycin by using UV spectrophotometer. Last but not least, we discussed on the brief history of spectrophotometry and also the real-life application in medicine field, where it determines the seriousness of heart attack, measure bacterial growth, color measurement in degree, in dosage, and also evaluate effect of different dosage of ingredients in medication. So hereby, I would like to thank all speakers involved and have been contributing in today's discussion on spectrophotometry. Thank you.